What's going on, travelers? It's Ricky Venters and Marlon Madden, and we are back with you for another episode of the Success Journey Show. What's good, Marlon? How you doing, bro?
Well, I'm all right. I'm here. I'm here. The superstar,
Yeah,
Ricky Venters, the
dude,
superstar.
there's a story behind it, man. I told you I'm gonna wait to the
Uh,
podcast until we do it,
hey, I'm
man.
hearing it just like I'm hearing it just like how y'all are hearing it, people. So I've been trying to find out why does this man have some sunshades on?
So
Um,
man, Sunday morning. No, it wasn't this Sunday morning. It was this Sunday morning was Father's Day. It was Saturday morning. Saturday morning. That's what it was. Man, getting up. I was up pretty late Friday, so I'm getting up and I have my glasses, next to on my bed, next to my bed. So I get up, throw on my glasses, um, go to the bathroom, boom, 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 go downstairs and throw on some clothes, whatever. And my mother-in-law is like, "Where are you going? Are you going to Baltimore today?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm not going to Baltimore. I'm just hanging around the house. I'm not doing anything." So I'm sitting in the kitchen, walking around, walking around, right? Sitting down, da 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 da. Then I was like, "Oh, let me go on my computer real quick." Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was. I had to do a podcast. Someone invited me to do a podcast, right? So that's why I was getting up early. It was actually Sunday before last Sunday, and I'm like, I go to my computer. This has been like 30 minutes now, right? 30 minutes. I go to
yeah.
my computer, turn on Zoom, turn on the camera, and I'm like, yo, why the heck I got these sunglasses on? Yo, for the life of me, dude, I thought I had my regular glasses on, and I'm walking around the house, and I'm like, yo, that's why she asked me if I'm
If
going to
you're,
Baltimore today. She thought I was going somewhere. So yeah, dude, I was like, man, you got to be kidding me, man. You got and of course, my youngest son's like, yo, how the world you mix that up? I'm like, dude, I was tired, man. I was tired, man. It didn't even seem off until I looked at myself. So, yeah, guys, I'm not going superstar on us. I'm not there yet.
I thought he was going superstar.
Marlon didn't
Honest.
know how to address it at first, man. When he saw me, he was like, are we wearing glasses now? Wearing sunglasses?
Wearing sunglasses now? Like what the heck?
In the
When did
house?
we?
In the
When
house?
did we
Not even no
in the
sunshine
house?
in here?
Yeah. When did we go Hollywood? Them dudes be wearing like shades in the dark. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Dude, bro, I had a boy. You know him too. I'm not gonna say his name here, but I had a boy, man, and we had to go out to a spot out in the city to do some music, and we're practicing hard and everything where we live at, and we get out there, and this dude got the biggest shades on, and we're going to a church, right? And the dude is just rocking out. I've never seen him wear shades like before. And they had a whole daggone service, the whole song. Joker had the big shades on, playing, and
Hollywood.
yeah,
Hollywood.
yeah, yeah. We're not gonna get that. We're not gonna get like that on you guys, man. Don't worry. We won't. We
Don't
won't get.
worry about it.
Yeah,
Trust me, we're not.
yeah. If we have shades on, all you guys that have shades on, because we traveling together. That's how we
Yep.
do this. That's how we do it. But yeah, man. What's been going on in your world, man? Before we even bring our guest on.
Oh, well, today is when people hear this, it'll be past already. This is Juneteenth. Um, but I was outside working. I was outside doing some yard work, planting flowers,
Hmm.
finished cutting up some of my grass and doing a whole bunch of other stuff I just want to take care of the outside of the house, the aesthetics, so it looks a little
Yeah.
bit better. And
Yeah.
then I'll be traveling on the inside to do some inside stuff soon.
Man, you guys didn't do the cookout, man, the Juneteenth cookout today?
No,
No.
I didn't.
Remember a couple of years ago, we were like, "Yo, we're gonna do the Juneteenth cookout next time." And
Yeah, I was like,
COVID got
I
moved to
hardly,
next year, and then
yeah, I hardly do 4th of July cookout.
yeah, 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 yeah,
I don't
yeah,
do no. Yeah.
yeah. But cool. Yeah, no, I'm with you, dude. I'm just sitting there doing some. Well, I had to work today. I wasn't off today, and it's been pretty busy where I work. So it's a lot of good stuff going on, a lot of projects. Um, but at the same time, I also have some projects around the house I'm trying to do too. So trying to get them done, and it's a lot, dude. It's a lot, man.
It's
Sometimes,
a lot.
man, it's a lot.
It's a
So,
lot. Yeah.
but
And we have a lot
man,
of products that we're doing too, man.
yeah, exactly.
We
Yeah,
don't, we
yep,
don't, we don't, it's funny. We don't put out all our business out there.
yeah,
But well, when we let you, which one, once we wrap up the one, we'll talk about it. Um,
yep.
and then, I went down to South Carolina, closed on four, four houses down there. Monday, well, last week, Tuesday, Thursday, and
Mm,
Friday, which would be,
mhm.
what was that, 17th, 18th of June, or was 16th? So we're doing some things, making some
Yep,
things happen. We're
yeah,
about to close on another one probably tomorrow.
yep,
Yep, in Texas.
yep.
So we got some
Yeah.
we got some stuff going on real estate. That's what we diversify our lines of accounts in all the
Right.
different areas. We have our company that we have the podcast, we're doing things. Everybody should go check out when you hear this, go check out our Under the Helmet series
Yep.
with FCF Fan Control Football. And we have some players that are there that we're highlighting and bringing their stories. You're gonna cry, you're gonna laugh, you're gonna be motivated, you're gonna be frustrated, whatever feeling at the time that person was, you'll definitely feel it and share their sentiments. And then at the end, it's gonna be all powerful though, even though you're still on their journey.
Yep, yep, absolutely, man. Um dude, man, it's just all the stuff that we're doing, it's just really building on the next, and this week we're actually going to be giving out a scholarship
Oh
um,
yes, on Friday.
on Friday to a young individual. So stay tuned. You'll see some stuff on that as we share maybe some photos or something like that of that event. So yeah, guys, we're just trying to make an impact where we can in this world, and we encourage all you to do the same, right? So that's what helps this world grow, world get better. Can't complain about it. You got to be a part of it to help improve things. So yeah, yeah, yeah. So without further ado, man, we're gonna jump into the next segment of this show. Um, our favorite segment of the show when we talk with a guest. So stay tuned and we'll be right back with you.
Welcome to the Success Journey Show. Let's travel together through the lives of individuals on the road to success.
All right, travelers. All right. Like I told you a few minutes ago, we are here at our favorite segment of the show. And we have a special guest with us. Well, I say that every week, guys. Special guests. All of our guests are special. Why? Because they're taking the time out of their days, out of their life, just to share their journey with us, and we're greatly appreciative of that. So today we have none other than Drew Vernon. Drew, thank you so much for joining us today on the Success Journey Show. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me.
Good,
Oh
good,
yeah, a
good.
pleasure, a
It's an
pleasure.
honor. It's a pleasure and honor to have you on. Man, I'm excited to jump into your story. But before we go too deep into it, can you just share with our listeners a little bit about yourself? Who is Drew Vernon?
Sure, sure. First, let me just say, maybe you ought to talk to the guests before you call it a success journey, because we'll talk through it. Maybe there'll be some successes, but probably some failures along the way. But thank you so much for having me. My name is Drew Vernon. I'm a marketer. I went to business school for brand and product management at the University of Wisconsin, and then came out and started working for Procter and Gamble, which was a great
Jeez.
experience. Yeah, I cut my teeth on marketing there. I was working on some pretty big brands. Was working on a project for Olay, as
Mm,
well as one for CoverGirl.
okay.
And that was a really good experience doing innovation, looking at new product categories and like line extensions and new products that could go on the shelf. And I did that for a little bit and then moved on to Jergens body lotion. I launched a product called Jergens Wet Skin Moisturizer, which was a product that, it's a lotion that goes on your skin while it's wet instead of when it's dry.
Mm,
And that was fun. But, I could only take, being in beauty for so long. I got a little bit tired of, just selling lotion. I figured there had to be something more that I could do, that I could contribute. And that's when I made the move into the toy business. And so I went from
Mm.
there over to Lego, where I managed the preschool business for Lego for a few years.
Wow,
Yeah, yeah,
wow,
yeah, yeah,
wow, wow.
yeah, yeah.
From beauty to the Legos, man. That's awesome, man. I know some individuals that are in that product development space and that beauty space. It always intrigued me. Just that process. A lot of people see these products on the shelves, but don't really know the whole life cycle of how it gets there, from the development all the way to the testing, all the way to the marketing in order to get shelf space, right? And then also down to the intricacies of what it looks like on the shelf, right? All these different things people don't realize. They just say, "Oh man, it'd be cool for me to develop something." Like, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. What drew you into that the branding product development space?
Yeah, so I actually in high school, I went to a little workshop during the summer called Business Week. And that's kind of when I
Mm.
fell in love with business. And then I came back from my senior year and took psychology and learned about the way the mind works and the way,
Yeah.
you know, the reason why people do the things that they do. And so I kind of just married my two passions around business and psychology, which is understanding
Wow.
consumers and their needs and how to meet their needs. And so I took that into my college education, and I thought, who better to learn marketing from than Procter and Gamble? They
Yeah.
were the ones back in the 1800s. They were selling soap and candles, and before you know it, they started selling ivory soap. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, there was this idea of a brand that was above and beyond a product, and that really drew me in. And that's kind of what's kind of been guiding my career as a brand marketer.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Mm.
Go ahead, King.
Ricky just covered some very high level stuff. He just went through kind of like a process management or of a branding. But can you break down for our listeners? Because we have listeners that are doing everything. We have somebody that's starting up a company, working for a company, or even somebody that's thinking about pushing out products. Break it down for them in layman's term. How do you posture yourself to get your product out there? Having the feeling like, hey, this is a great product. And then, like Ricky says, now you have to cater to the masses and make them intrigued that when they're walking down the aisle and I stop and I see wet lotion, maybe that alone made me stop because I'm like, wet lotion, wait, lotion's already wet. What's going on
Yeah, yeah.
here? But break it down for the average person. How do you go through that?
Sure. Yeah, it's a really interesting process because, obviously I didn't know a whole lot going into it. And, you've come to a product like Jergens Wet Skin Moisturizer, where literally the only difference is that it dissolves on your skin while it's wet rather than when it's dry. So your benefit really is that the lotion is going to absorb twice as fast. And so you're going to save someone about 15 seconds of, rubbing in lotion.
Motion. Yeah.
Well, your job as a marketer is to make that significant and to make it, appealing, because, you don't want to be the one who's been rubbing in lotion like a regular person and you could have saved 15 seconds, this whole time. And, I say it a little bit comically now because it's such a small thing to worry about, which is what ultimately left me, wanting more to contribute. But I think what you're asking for is the process of whether you're selling lotion or Lego bricks. It all starts with an idea or a concept. And this is like the start of all the products and services that we have, is that somebody had an idea of something that could be done better. Well, then you have to figure out if that idea is any good, and you have to do your research, and, go talk to people, go ask them, that would be something that would be appealing. Well, then you have to strategize around the product, and then you have to develop it or produce it, and then you have to launch it. And that's kind of like, about a 12 to 18 month process boiled down into, just a few steps. But that's really the process that I think as a marketer I use every day. But I also try to use it with kids now that I work in the kids space, because this is really the process of creativity and the process of bringing something that doesn't exist life and to make it exist. So it's a passion of
Mm,
mine and something that, I'm still learning a lot about.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
love it. You know what? My first introduction to, and I'm looking it up as we were talking, to that kind of space, marketing, branding, whatever it may be, was on a show, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it was called the Jamie Foxx show. And in the Jamie Foxx show, Jamie worked for a company called Bojingles, and he
Yes.
he was tasked to write jingles on different products. And I was just like, "Oh man, that's." And then all of a sudden, every commercial that comes out, I'm like, "Oh, that's a jingle. Oh man, that's a jingle." Like I never knew that was like a whole process as part of the whole plan to get a product out when I was a kid. Um, so as you're talking about, I love that you're here now with this and sharing it, because it's really just coming up with that story, and having that background, like you said, that psychology, knowing what the consumer wants, knowing what drives consumers, the psychology around it, like everything you're putting into this product for the selling aspect of it is picking up on all those aspects of the what you embodied, right? So the love for branding, the love for psychology and people and communicating with people. Like how deep into the psychology do you go? Because I know nowadays, when you have even a lot of these different platforms that people use, the social medias, the internet, things of that nature, that's a huge component of it now. Like, and I'm not sure at what point that really started to
Yeah.
get integrated into the whole branding and marketing aspect of, the industry.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, where to begin? Like it's gotten so sophisticated and so developed where, you're talking about jingles of, jingles work because they're catchy and they get stuck in your head, and then you
Yeah.
start singing them and you're like, oh, I do need a plumber, or I do
Yeah.
need to
I
rent a
do need wet
car.
lotion.
um, and yeah, it's all part of the human psyche. And, we use colors and sights and sounds and shapes and smells. And, that's just kind of the senses. And we also have so much data of all of our past behavior. Like you can barely go to a website anymore without having them, track you down
Track
on
everything.
social media and serve you up ads. And before you know it, you're getting 25% off of something that you didn't know that you needed,
Yeah.
but you're buying it. And so I don't pretend to know the whole, the gamut of
Gamut of it.
everything. And I'm not as much on the technical side with the algorithms and,
Oh
everything
yeah,
that Google
all
and
that stuff.
Facebook and
Yeah, yeah,
Amazon. But what
yeah.
I have a sense for is what people like and what they could use. And I have a sense for trying to do things better. And so, maybe it is starting out with lotion that absorbs 15 seconds sooner. But now I'm trying to, do something in the kids space where
Yeah,
working for toy companies or really trying to improve the education experience where you
yeah.
can use that psychology to appeal to people with products and services, but to do it with the net benefit of like improving your community around you. And that's my goal.
I love that. I love how you segued into that. I was going to go into that area. Um, you said, "Hey, I want to do more than just work in this beauty space. Like, how do I really serve the world more?" I mean, that's what I'm hearing from that transition. What sparked that desire to serve the world, the community more? Um,
Mhm.
and how did that transpire into the toy business?
Yeah, it's a great question. I actually transitioned in the toy business first. I went from beauty into toy just because I was more interested in it. So I had been a fan of Lego since, the 80s. I still remember my
Right.
first set. I think I was 5 years old, Christmas morning. And, you have an emotional connection. So when I had the opportunity to go to Lego, I jumped on it. I ended up
Mhm.
managing the preschool business, which included a couple of brands, including Duplo, which is the bigger bricks. And I was just doing like a marketing activity, based on my training from P&G. I was trying to get into doctor's offices
Yeah.
because I knew that every child at an 18-month or 24-month mark will go into the pediatrician for a wellness checkup. Well, I
Yeah.
thought, maybe I can get these doctors to encourage daily play between parents and kids. And I can give them a little prescription card. And coming from a doctor who is, an authoritative figure, somebody who the parent really looks up to and trusts, then they might just, go along with it and, do the program. So
Yeah.
created this program called Prescription for Play. We handed out prescription cards and product samples and encouraged parents to play with their kids for 15 minutes a day. And I just thought this was going to be a little marketing activation. I wanted to get into, a couple hundred doctors' offices. I ended up building a network over the course of, a few weeks where it just spread by word of mouth. And I ended up
Wow.
with a network of 2,500 pediatricians, giving prescription cards to 500,000 kids. And that's when the light went off in my brain and said, hey, maybe I can actually change something for good around play. And so that's kind of what my mission has been since that experience.
Wow. Wow. Man, oftentimes with our travelers, we try to bring out that aspect of the story where, you didn't go into it thinking you're going to get 2,500.
100. Yeah. Your shot was 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're going in and said, I'm going to focus on what in front of me, go for it, focus on 100, show that value that we can bring to the doctor's office. The doctor's office going to bring to their patients. And it blows up like, wow, 500,000 patients that you're now serving. On the back end though, knowing that you were only planning for 100, how in the world did you handle 500,000, like five times that amount? Like, what was going on in the background that you had to kind of speed up just to match that customer now
Demand. Yeah.
demand that you had?
Yeah, no, probably a lot of angry emails from my operations department, my warehouse, my agencies.
Yeah.
I was switching marketing budgets, trying to pull, some additional money to make more bricks. It wasn't easy, but you can't ask too many questions when something is working, and what didn't
Yeah.
work because of
Yeah.
me. It worked because the incentives were there. The parents loved the program, the kids loved it, the doctors loved it, and it was the right thing. And so it was just a matter of sorting out the logistics and making sure that we were getting prescriptions out to as many who wanted them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would figure that was a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Well, not for the manufacturers are like, well, we have to jump through hoops. But, on the other side, everybody's like, man, you knocked it out of the park. You went for 100 and now you're talking about 25,000. So it's probably a good problem to have. Now I see something in your story. I think like you love, well, we all love children, but you love children and helping out children. Because I saw here that you had the first daycare. Not to jump off of this, because I just don't want to talk about toys, but I want to see, to paint a picture for everyone that you love kids. You had the first in Connecticut, the by the hour daycare. Go through that for us.
Yeah, it was the first state licensed drop-in daycare center. So your traditional daycare where you drop your child off in the morning and pick them up in the afternoon and the evening. I wanted something for parents who just wanted to go to a movie or go to the gym or go to the grocery store without kids in tow, and ended up going through a pretty rigorous process to get state certified, to hire on a center director and a staff, and to open up. And that was formative for me as well, because I did it in the mind of an entrepreneur, wanting to make it a profitable business. But what happened is I ended up seeing children coming from different walks of life. This was in Hartford, Connecticut. So we had different patches of affluence or less affluence. Started taking in some kids from the foster care system and the State Department. And that really struck a chord with me to see not everybody has the same opportunities in education, and not everybody comes from privileged means. And so that was when I kind of further reflected on what my opportunity was to make an impact in childhood education and development. And that's something that I've carried in, with Tonies, which is the company that I'm currently working for.
Yeah. Now let's talk about Tony's, because I really want the listeners or travelers, we call everybody travelers because that's what we're all on a journey, to really hear about this and see how it works. So, with no further ado, just jump into the Tony's and what you're doing over there.
Yeah, so Tony's is a little speaker box for kids. I'm showing it. Your listeners might just be listening to it. They can go to tonys.com to see a picture of it. It's basically a 5-inch cube. It's got a layer of foam around it, so it's really soft. You can actually squeeze it. And it was designed by a couple of dads who wanted to make an upgrade to the CD player, which we've known and used for the last 30, 35 years. They met on the board of a preschool together, and their children's teacher was still using CDs in the classroom to play songs and stories. And they thought, that's great and all, but CDs are kind of old at this point. They scratch and they break. And most importantly, young children can't operate them without adult supervision. So they created a figure-based system where you use a little figure called a Tony. It's magnetic and it'll go on top of the box and it'll play whatever it's programmed to play. So if you've got like Dr. Seuss or Pete the Cat or Disney Princess, we actually have nonfiction content with National Geographic. And it's really just intended to be something that a child as young as 2 or 3 can operate on their own without a parent, and most importantly, without a screen. So that kind of gets back into my advocacy with coming onto Tony's. It was right in the middle of COVID lockdown, where the general understanding at the time was that kids under 2 should not have any screen time and kids under 5 should have up to an hour a day. But I'm not sure if you have kids or what their ages are, but I'm willing to bet that they're on screens for more than an hour a day.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately,
yes, sir.
Yeah.
I saw recently that between all of the remote learning and digitized learning that schools have adopted now with COVID, kids are actually looking at screens for over 7 hours a day between entertainment and education. And the Tony Box is a resource for parents and for teachers to be able to give their child a screen-free way to entertain themselves and to educate themselves through nonfiction content.
Love it.
It's so, Rick, go ahead. But before, it's so crazy. You said some dads met on, appropriate. Yesterday was Father's Day. Some dads, happy Father's Day to you, belated Father's Day. Some dads met on a school board and said, "Hey, they saw a problem set, and then they said, "Hey, let's make something to solve that problem." And that's beautiful, the Tony, because like you said, a lot of our kids are having to use that screen time. And if it's dangerous, what's the alternative? Like you said, what was the alternative? Because every kid's gonna jump on an iPad. I don't care, a 2-year-old know how to swipe, how to pick. My daughter, before she's 6. She's not reading like at that high of a level, but she could still go on there and say, I'm like, how did you find this on kids' YouTube? Oh, I typed in this. I'm like, this is crazy. So definitely I see the benefit of having the Tony. I know, Ricky, you were gonna ask a question. I don't want to hog this.
No. I would know. You're spot on, because it's the Tonys. What it reminds me of, giving that kids the opportunity just to sit and let their imaginations flow, right? Without being forced to see, all right, the image in front of me, all right, it's already out of shape, but the Tonys allowing them to just hear, listen, not have that screen time, like we were saying, replacing that with something that's still entertaining, but at the same time exercising another aspect of their anatomy, so that's not suffering as they're getting older, man. So I love it. So tell us, in the same vein of the branding and marketing and things of that nature, talk to us about the process of really, taking that to where it is today, and some different thought processes around, how to go different avenues, how to get into different people's hands and things of that nature.
You've been listening to the Success Journey Show. You could check us out on our social media on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Also on our website, thesuccessjourneyshow.com. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah, so it was pretty much an overnight success when it started. It actually came over from Germany, and the dads started selling overnight, and they expanded it to the United Kingdom. And then shortly thereafter, the United States. I was part of the team that brought it to the US about 2 years ago. So now it's really just a matter of, we know that the Tony Box is a valuable resource. It's just about creating content. And so our goal is to create content around all of you children's favorite characters, whether they come from TV, from movies, from storybooks. We're also doing meditation content. We also do educational content. We're getting more into, foreign language learning and phonics and things like that. And so we're a few years behind our German, counterparts, but we're starting to release about 4 or 5 new figures a month in perpetuity. So we're going to have, hundreds of figures where a child can really, open up their world just by whichever Tony figure they decide to grab onto.
Love it. Love it, man. So when you look back over your career and everything you've done to get to this point right now, and you have this box in your hand, has there ever been times you're like, wow, man, when I started P&G, Procter & Gamble, I didn't even know I would be, in this place right now, with such a product that I really believe is going to make a huge impact. Like those aha moments, like those ones that you being reflective and all those things. Like, has that ever come across to you as you are where you are now? And I know this is just part of the journey, right? I know you're going to go much further with it, but do you ever have those moments of reflection?
Yeah, I would say so. I think, what P&G taught me was just the technical skills of how to be a marketer, how to make something appealing. I think what I learned is that you have to have natural enthusiasm or curiosity behind what you do, because it's going to be the motivation to continue going when things get hard. And I don't know if I would have that selling lotion, for 25 or 30 years, not to say that that's a bad career. For me personally, I wanted to do something that was more fun and that could serve, what I felt was a bigger purpose.
I love it, man.
Now, is Tony, are those boxes in stores or just strictly off website?
So we are in Target and Best Buy. We'll be in an increasing number of Target stores this fall, in both the toy section and the entertainment section. We are also Barnes & Noble, Best Buy, Pottery Barn Kids, Amazon, Tonies.com. One thing I do want to mention is we also have an education initiative called Tonies for Teachers, which I started kind of based on the blueprint from the prescription program that I did at Lego. I created a program called Tonies for Teachers, which shows educators how to use the Tony Box in preschool and kindergarten classrooms. And it's really shaping up to be the first step towards literacy, which is listening to reading. So kids, before they can read, can listen to reading. And that's kind of why we're putting them in classrooms. But when I created the program, I thought, who better can help us tell our story and inspire kids to gain a love for reading than one of my childhood heroes, who was LeVar Burton. And so I ended up cold calling his agent and explaining to him what a Tony Box was, and he agreed to come on as our brand ambassador.
Wow.
And partnered with us actually to create his own Tony figure and to become our brand representative. So that was another kind of, success marker in creating Tonies for Teachers and promoting child literacy.
Oh, wow. So the bar is on there. From Reading Rainbow, right?
Yeah, Reading Rainbow, Star Trek. Yeah, that's the one.
I'm just saying that for the people. I know, but I'm saying that for the people that's out there, that when they're not associating that name, because everybody knows Butterfly in the Sky. I could go. That's it's catchy. It's still in my head. So that's great. That's great. So you do a lot of that. That was a good move. I just have to say that was a good move. Now, for the people out there, because like us, we have some products that we're bringing to market, or we brought that we've gotten some patents on and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is it to get on a shelf? What do you have to do? What do you have to do to get on Target's shelf?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we could spend the whole podcast talking about that. Essentially, most of the people that you work with, if you want to get into a physical store in Target or Walmart or one of those, you work with a buyer, and they're the ones that are going to make sure that say, hey, if I put you on my shelf, are you going to sell? And not only are you going to sell, but are you going to sell better and more than the next best thing I could put on your shelf? So there's always an opportunity cost. And you always have to think about growing their category, because it's one thing if I go and sell a bunch of Tony boxes, but if that doesn't help their category, or if what they could sell instead of a Tony box is better than that, then that's going to be what they're motivated by. So that's kind of the short version of it. But essentially, you have to convince them that if they put you there, that you're going to sell, and you're going to sell more than the alternative.
Wow.
Yeah.
At the same time, you have to think about the categories. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. Talk about also the aspect of like just quantity, and making sure that you're meeting a certain quota of products delivered to them. So, in that agreement. And I was talking to some people, individual that was doing really well making shea butter, and she got an opportunity to get her product in Target, and it almost really just shut her down because she almost lost everything because she could not keep up with the demand
Oh,
on the
really?
shelf. Yeah, and she ended up losing everything, lost shelf space, all that kind of stuff, because she was just too small. It just grew too fast, right? Um, talk a little bit about, I know we don't have to get super technical about it, but just even that aspects of expectation from Target on top
Mhm.
of, hey, making sure that you're, like you mentioned before, that you're really, equipped to sell, replace something that actually could have been there to be a great seller for them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to vary by category. They're going to have a measure. They call it usually like units per store per week. So if you're in 1,000 stores, you got to move X number of Tony boxes every week, or you're going to get risk of, being delisted, they'll say.
Yeah.
The other thing that's tough about beauty, your friend might have experienced, is, if you buy, shea butter or whatever, or if there's a coupon and you decide to buy 2 shea butters, then, you might not be coming back to that for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. They call
Yeah.
that pantry loading. The nice thing about the Tony box from a business perspective is we call it a blades and razors model, because, you can add an infinite number of content to your Tony box just by buying a new figure. So it's kind of like, old school, but go buy a new CD. Well, anytime you want new music or new content, you can go buy a new Tony. And so that gets families coming back. That makes it
Okay.
a little bit more successful than if we were just trying to sell lotion to somebody, once a year because they were going to buy 2 on discount.
What pressure is that on you, though? What kind of pressure that cast on you when they're saying, okay, the unit store, the measure, the math that you use to move the product. What pressure is on you when you're looking at the end of the week and you're like, okay, I have 15 more to meet my 1,000. Come on, guys, I need to buy 15 more. What kind of pressure is that on you, and how do you handle that pressure when you're going to another store or you're looking at something else? How that pressure on you? I just want to know about that stress.
Well, I think, there's a lot of different players and different people are responsible. We have a great content team. Their pressure is to bring the best licenses. So to go out to get Paw Patrol, Peppa Pig, Pete the Cat, Llama Llama, National Geographic, Dr. Seuss. In the preschool world, that's the who's who. That's the red carpet of famous characters. Well, our content team is securing all of those licenses. They're creating original content. We created original content with Sesame Street, hired Elmo and Cookie Monster and made, a couple of great figures. We actually won a licensing award for. So that helps alleviate the pressure. I think for me as a marketer, I have to take whatever the product is and make it appealing. So I'm the one who gets to tell the world about Elmo and Cookie Monster and why that should be part of every child's, audio library at home.
I love it, man.
Man,
Love it.
this is
Yeah,
this is interesting.
I love this stuff. Yeah, I love it, and I love it because I appreciate one the effort that is put into this industry. There's the branding and marketing, the whole product development cycle. We just kind of tip our toes in some aspects of it. At one point, I was trying to take it on. Yeah, I'm gonna do marketing, and I'm like, dude, I don't know how to do all. And then you start talking about all the analytics that you was talking about before, the ads. I was like, I that's not my space. I'm staying in my area. Let the guys that do this stuff, let them do it, right? Because you do it so well, and you're doing it every single day. Um, as you're looking at impact and with kids and things of that nature, um, how does that influence even you being innovative in your thought process? Have you ever thought about, hey, let me create something, or I have a great idea that that tells the idea because probably IP or whatever, but all those things that have led to I can really push something and develop something and get it out there. Have you thought about that aspect as well?
Yeah, I love that question because it kind of brings full circle what you can do with the Tony box. So I mentioned the speaker, I mentioned the content Tonys. Those are the ones that come preloaded. You put it on the box, you're going to hear a story. That's a great consumer experience. You can give your child a story, give them 10 stories, give them 100 stories. Each one of those is going to be a reference point. They're going to have a hero that overcomes a challenge to get to a treasure or to a reward. That's the framework of storytelling. And we owe it on our kids to give them as many of those stories as we can so they can learn how others have done it. And then we need to teach them how to be the authors of their own story. And that's what you can do with the other kind of Tonys. They're called creative Tonys. They've got little pointy ears. They don't come with any content. They come blank. And the reason for that is because we're trying to encourage kids to become the authors of their own stories after we give them the content experience. Go write your own song. Go write your own poem. Go write your own, jokes. Go write whatever you want and record it onto a creative Tony. And you can store up to 90 minutes on a single figure, and then you have it to keep and cherish. I did this with my kids, a few months ago. I told them they were poking each other, all that stuff. I was trying to keep them busy. I said, hey, go write a poem about worms. It's got to be 4 verses and it's got to rhyme. I just gave them a little bit of a creative prompt and a little bit of boundaries to stay within. That's what they needed in order to go and be creative and to spend that time to come back, record it on a creative Tony. And that, again, just brings it full circle because we don't want to just be consumers in our society. We want to be producers and creators.
Producers.
And the better we can teach our kids to do that, the better equipped they're going to be as adolescents and, teenagers into adults.
So that you just opened a different can of worm for me.
I know. Oh yeah.
So what is your thought process on the education to the workforce? Since you understand what I'm saying, so what's your thought process on that?
Yeah. So I used to work for Lego, as you know, and I saw Lego would sell millions upon millions of, construction sets. And most of what they sold, about 90 to 95% of what they sold, was a box of bricks that you buy it, you take it home, you dump it out, and it comes with a little instruction booklet. And it says, this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3. And kids will go crazy and they'll follow the instructions and they'll learn, spatial, skills and hand-eye, fine motor skills and hand-eye coordination. All those things are great. And they'll get to the end of the box and they'll get a spaceship, they'll get a castle or whatever. But they haven't really done anything creatively other than follow the instructions. Well, then you say, hey, Drew, they sell those big, yellow buckets of bricks, Lego Classic. That's the other kind of 10% of what they sell. You can go make whatever you want to make. And that's true. But if you see most kids, they dump out a bucket of bricks, they'll make like a little airplane or a castle. And it's not going to be as great as the one that was the instructions. Like there's a gap there. That's the gap that we need to bridge by teaching our kids how to be creative, how to follow
Mm.
constraints, and how to follow procedures and boundaries in order to come to that masterpiece without having it be dictated. And so that's the gap that I try to focus on. I call it the creative masterpiece because I believe that we need to show that path. We need to give our kids enough of a stimulus, enough of a prompt to get them started. And then we also need to reinforce their behavior with positive affirmation and through practice and repetition. And that goes way beyond my scope here at Tonies. This is just from me spending the last 5 years in the toy business, talking to parents, talking to pediatricians, talking to teachers, librarians, children museums, curators. This is what I truly believe that our youth need, and they need products like Tonies and others that can help them bridge that creative gap.
Listen, I love what you just said there. And the phrase came to mind, master builder, right? From from the Lego movies, master builder. It's funny as you said that. So I'm gonna take a quick moment to brag on my kids. So they love Legos even to today, even though I'm like, guys, they're all over the place. I'm not buying any more Lego sets. And I had gotten to the point where I stopped buying Lego sets. I'm like, you guys have enough Legos. You build the set. You don't even keep them together. They're all over the place after a while, and that's it. So what I started noticing is they will watch something on TV, and then they'll all go get together and build exactly what they saw on TV. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Well, that just affirmed that I definitely don't need to buy you any more Lego sets. But then also it spoke to the level of creativity. And I'm talking about, I mean, even Beyblades. And they were real big on Beyblades. And I was like, hey, I'm not buying another Beyblade. It's like, okay. Next thing you know, they went to their Lego set and started building Beyblades. And here's the kicker. It wasn't just the Beyblades they were building. They started building the launcher for the Beyblades. I was just like, man, how in the world are
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
oldest son was kind of the spearheading the whole development of it, but I was like, that's creativity, right? Not just following directions. Following directions is good, like you said, you learn something in that. But when it comes to that creative side, giving them that space to say, hey, you just have a pile of Legos. Use your imagination. Put it all together, right? And make something that's phenomenal. So I'm glad you're saying that. I'm glad you're even saying that uh, about even the products that you're developing, and just having that in mind of saying, hey, we want to create a space for them to learn how to create. So now you take this Tony box, right? Not only are you now you've learned you learned how you can use it to listen, right, and tell stories. Now you tell a story, right?
Yeah.
You build it out, and now you can have someone else listen to your Tony box, just like you sat there and listened for all the other ones. So man, I love the direction you're going in, Drew. Man, I really appreciate you sharing this with us tonight. Is there uh, uh with the whole Tony box, where can people, we've been talking about it, but where can people actually go see more information, get more information about this, um, be part of, whatever it is about this box and really get it into their homes?
Yeah, so I would recommend going to the website. It's tonies.com, tonies.com. You can also follow us on Instagram. It's at tonies.us. We have an active Facebook community called Tony Box USA. This is something that I'm really proud of because it's not run by the company, it's run by fans. And that's a growing community on Facebook. And also, yeah, Tony, I can send the links over. And then
Yeah,
Tony's
please
for
do.
Teachers is a separate Facebook community that's filled with educators that are sharing ways to use the Tony box in classrooms and libraries.
Love it. Love it.
Rick, if we're gonna put this out in our in a newsletter, but we're also gonna say here, Drew has told us. He said, "Listen, we're gonna formulate something. You know what we're gonna do in the comments? Somebody say something about Tony, how you could implement it, how you could use it, and we'll pick the winner. And Drew will send you out a free Tony box to you. He'll mail it straight from the company and let you straight to your house. So if you're listening to this and you're in your car on the podcast, when you get home, I don't want you to do this while you're driving, pop out YouTube, and in the comments, just hit us up with some how you think you could utilize the Tony box, and then we'll pick the winner, and then we'll send it your name off to Drew. Don't forget to put your name in the comment section.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Send a Tony box and a few of the figures as well. I'll let you choose the winner. I do need to disclaim, I should have told you this before, we can ship to the US only. So this is valid for your US listeners.
Okay, hey, sorry, if you're in Jamaica right now, you're not going to get it back. All right.
Give him a nice picture of it. But yeah, it's no, Drew, one question we asked all of our guests as we're coming to a close is, if you had a moment to go back to the Drew that, after that first, let's say after that psychology class, and you had a moment just to pull him aside, knowing what you know now, the journey now, your beautiful family, your kids, your career, where you are, and you had a moment to say, just talk to him and give him some advice. 1 minute. What would you share with Drew?
Yeah. Tough to say. I think what's brought me the most happiness and fulfillment is just doing something that I love and doing it for a higher purpose than a title or a paycheck. And I think, I was as eager as the next guy coming out of business school, working, for a reputable company, thinking I was going to make my mark. And, it took some time, but, I'm in a better place now where I'm doing what I love. And I would just tell my younger self not to stress about it and not to worry about the title and the paycheck.
Yeah, love it. Well,
Yes,
travelers,
sir.
you heard it. Drew, thank you so much for joining us today. And all of our travelers, we want to thank you again for listening to the Success Journey Show. We're here for you. We do this for you because we're journeying with you on your road to success. So everyone, we'll see you next week at the same time on the Success Journey Show. Everyone have a good one. Peace.
One love.
You've been listening to the Success Journey Show, where your dreams, drive, determination, and diligence are the foundation to success. For more information, check out thesuccessjourneyshow.com. The Journey Squad is here helping you to your destination.